so you can play.
Matthew and Steve talk about the new Harlequin, not like the novels, but the Codex. Matthew here from MiniWarGaming.com.
And Steve here from MiniWarGaming.com. That was one word.
That was one word. And welcome to another episode of We're Talking About Harlequins, not the novels.
Well, off camera maybe.
He does, not me.
What? I do.
So this is video number 3. In our first 2 videos, we covered going over all of the units that the new Harlequin Codex has to offer. If you didn't see episode 2 because you're not a Vault member, you can go back and watch it. Just go to miniwargaming.com/vault to get access to the Vault. And if you're not a Vault member, you can still get a free 7-day trial and get access to all these videos. Because all these videos for this Harlequin review will be out this week if you're watching them as they come out.
There is a conversation we had at the end of that video I want everybody to see.
And it tells them to watch this video.
That as well. The Void Weaver thing. You go watch it.
That's right.
You'll see.
The Void Weavers.
Go watch it.
We
Help
figured
us
out.
Help us out.
We figured it out. The Void Weavers. I'm just going to leave it at that. And so this video, we're going to talk about the Shadow Seer in more detail. We're going to talk about the psychic stuff. So because there's just so much to talk about there, we didn't want to just put that in another video. So let's talk about the Shadow Seer.
I've already said before, I love them, and I want 3 in every one of my Harlequin only lists, and maybe in my other lists as well. They could do some great work for Dark Eldar and some okay work for Craftworld Eldar.
Well, you're Battle Brothers, so you can anything that's a blessing you can use on them as well, and they can join their squads.
They do a lot of really good things for Dark Eldar, but I mean they have their own new psychic discipline called Phantasmy.
No, Phantasmancy. That's right. Say that 3 times fast right now.
I couldn't
say
it one
3 times fast.
Phantasmasmy.
Masmy?
Did it?
No, you did not. Phantasmancy, like biomancy.
Phantasmancy. I'm done. I
Phantasmancy.
don't want to talk about this anymore.
Phantasmancy. How hard is that? Come on, Steve.
I can barely say my own middle name.
Anyway, so they have the Phantasmancy.
Yeah.
Demonology, Sanctic, and Telepathy.
And Telepathy.
So I want to go over all 3 of these. Let's hit Phantasmancy last.
Okay.
Because it's all the new stuff. Let's start with Demonology.
Demonology.
Because I think it'll be the quickest discussion. Don't take it.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
Essentially. No, but there are things in there that can be useful.
No. There are plenty of things in there that's useful. But if you're not a Grey Knight, you perils.
Even without the perils, I feel that Telepathy and the new discipline is actually more synergetic with them. Not that Demonology isn't.
I don't know. Demonology, you can get +1 invuln, so all your guys are 4-up invuln instead of 5-up. You can get Cleansing Flame, which is awesome. You
That's
get
an
Vortex
offensive
of
ability.
Doom.
That's again
Awesome.
an offensive ability. But you have so many offensive abilities already. You need protection. Protection is something both Phantasmancy and Telepathy.
You get a sticker.
I'm gonna put a little ball right here. That both of them can actually help out with.
True. So let's cover Telepathy then, because I don't think anybody's going to bring the Shadow Seers with Demonology.
No.
Because either Primaris is something that only works against demons, unless if you're going up against demons, maybe, but not probably. Because once again, perils, you're just going to kill your own Shadow Seers. They only have 2 wounds.
2 wounds. Only if I wasn't vulnerable. He's gonna.
So why Telepathy? How would you view Telepathy fitting in with the Harlequin Codex?
Let's ignore everything else in Telepathy and talk about just the Primaris for a second.
Psychic Shriek.
Psychic Shriek. 3d6 on a leadership test, take that many wounds. But you can get that ghost.
And you don't even have to roll to hit. Big can of worms. Go see another video.
That's a whole different discussion.
Do a YouTube search for do you have to roll to hit for Psychic Shriek or something like that. And that's where Ash and I have a very long and thorough discussion about
I believe you're both wrong.
whether you have to roll to hit with it. And I don't want to start a conversation in the comments about that. Let's talk about the Shadow Seer. So whether or not you need to roll to hit, who cares? Let's just move on.
Psychic Shriek is already great.
Yes.
Everybody knows this.
Even if you have to roll to hit.
Even if you have to roll to hit.
Seriously, because he hits on the 3.
He's
so.
listed a 4.
So it's fine.
Okay, but there's an Enigma of the Black Library he can get. It's a mask that gives units within 12 of him -2 leadership. I believe that's what it exactly stated.
Yeah.
Is it 1 unit or all units?
I think it gives him Fearless as well. No, it gives everybody within 12.
So 3d6 minus leadership, but -2. That many wounds, ignores armor. That's awesome.
And he's fearless, and his squad is fearless.
Which is kind of nice.
because of the mask.
But I mean, okay, you already have a very killy army or a very killy list, most likely. This is more threat added to the table.
Well, the more options you have, more ways to kill somebody, then you're not relying on other stuff. Like Psychic Shriek is great. Now you have other powers in there as well.
Dominate can work. We all know Dominate does. I mean, it's not necessary. If you roll it, you might even cast it. You probably will cast it.
Well, it's Malediction, and every time they want to do something, they have to take a leadership test, or they don't. So that's essentially it. And if you've got your mask, if you've got your mask nearby,
again, your mask is gonna possibly keep them from charging you. That could be defensive, which is huge.
and Overwatch. When they want to fire Overwatch, they have to take their leadership test too.
Ooh, that's a fair point. That's actually another thing that actually
It's
helps
another
your own
if your pinning doesn't do the trick, if you've dominated them, then when they make their leadership check, which they're going to be within 12 inches because
Yep.
you're charging them, so
Yep.
you better be within 12 inches.
True.
Then they're going to be leadership -2. Otherwise, they don't fire Overwatch.
So even Marines are going to need to roll a 7 or better just to pass.
Yeah. Now it doesn't affect their close
6 or
combat.
lower, I should say.
They can still attack in close combat. If they declare a charge,
But I mean, Overwatch would be the most terrifying thing to the Harlequin.
I think so. It is.
So I mean that could stop that.
Yeah. Yeah. But you're still like hoping that they fail their leadership test. You're like, I'm charging you. There's 3 flamers. Oh yeah, you failed your leadership. Okay, good.
We got Mental Fortitude. I mean, I actually don't ever think I ever used this one. Oh, it's
Well,
the
they regroup.
regroup immediately. Okay, if you get it, you need to cast it. I don't think.
And
it's
you
gonna-
gain fearless.
And you gain Fearless. I think, yeah, I don't know.
The problem is you usually work in small squads, so fearless won't be as important because
You win or you lose.
if you lose combat, you're probably dead.
Yeah.
Because if you fail to, when you have 6 guys, if you lose combat, they had to inflict more wounds than you.
it's more
so if
than
they
that.
kill 4 of your guys, and they've won combat, that means you've only killed 3 or more, or 3 or less of their guys, which most of the time means you sucked.
Yeah.
And you're probably dead anyways.
You have to kill them or you lose. Because if they attack back, you're going to lose.
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and that's a big part of what we're talking about in this video.
Terrified does have some synergy with the mask and everything else. -1 leadership. That Hemlock Wraithfighter comes with that ability if you want to go for the pinning list.
And they had to take a morale test too. So
Yeah.
they get -1 leadership.
-3.
They always roll for fear, or everybody causes fear against them, and they have to take a morale check at the end of the psychic phase, at -1 leadership. And if you have the mask, it's another -2 leadership. So
Yeah, it could be just defensive enough right there.
yeah,
Playing with their leadership.
just make them run away. So I don't even want to fight you. Just run off the table. Go.
The next 3, the next 2, you kind of want to roll if you can. Shrouding, Shrouding.
Yeah. Now you have a better one in the Phantasmancy.
Yeah, but
which gives stealth and
yeah,
shrouded, but at least it gives you the option. that you might
Option
roll
of
for
having this one as well, and invisibility, which we all know it's not that great. But I mean, you can cast it and keep your guys alive a little bit longer.
Yeah, invisibility is the big one, of course, because it's the one that is so overpowered. Now, the funny
Invisibility-
thing is Phantasmancy has one that's kind of a reverse invisibility, where you put it on your enemy, and they treat everybody as being invisible, essentially.
Yeah, which is awesome.
So if there's like a kill squad, you're like, you guys, your big Tau Crisis suit thing with the bajillion drones and the guy in the middle, it's like, you know what? You all suck now. So that's nice.
What
But
this one
we're not
has,
talking
though,
about
is-
Phantasmancy anyways, but invisibility, of course,
Yeah.
is awesome.
Casting on yourself or opposed to casting on them, that's could be a difference. Hallucination. Actually, I think it works pretty good for Harlequins because first one's a pinning test. Next one is -1 penalty, weapon skill, ballistic skill, and initiative and attacks. The most important one there is the attacks. Lower their attacks. If you don't do enough damage, you lower their attacks back to you.
Yeah, and they have less
And,
ways to
and
hurt
the
you.
last one can just do a bunch of damage to them.
Yeah,
So I think there's a lot that really actually works quite well for.
pretty much everything in telepathy can help the Harlequins.
Yeah.
Whereas like demonology, half of them don't do anything for you. And other ones, if they could bring them, some of them would not do much for them as well.
No matter which 2 you roll, you're probably going to be casting throughout your game.
Speaking of which,
And your
Shadow
progress.
Sierra is a level 1 Psyker. Do you think you'll always
Always.
spend that 25 points
Always.
and make them level 2?
Always.
But not only that, you get the extra warp charges.
Yep.
Gives you a better
Well,
chance of getting your...
I think that they're so necessary to keep your other units alive. You're hoping to roll both invisibility and shrouding and toss them, like protect your unit, protect another unit. Phantasm has a couple more that can protect multiple units.
Yeah.
So if you have 3 Psychers, all rolling 2 powers apiece, plus having the Primaris, which I think is awesome on both. Phantasm is more defensive. It's very defensive, actually. You're constantly doing things in the psychic phase. I think more so for The Harlequin, the second phase is more important than the Craftworld Eldar. We all know the Craftworld Eldar second phase is great, but this is so much more important and so much more effective, I believe. Theory, haven't played it yet, don't know for sure. But I really think that this is, I never really use Farseers. I don't really care whether or not they have bonuses that can make a difference. I think these bonuses are so important that they're necessary for the army to work with itself.
So let's talk about Phantasmancy then. Phantasmancy.
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 The Harlequin discipline, we'll call it.
What's wrong with saying Phantasmancy?
Phantasman, I don't know. It's not a word I would use every day.
It is weird.
Phantasmancy.
Because they obviously just took 3 different words and stuck them together, and they don't even like flow. 'Cause I'm not even sure where to put the
Is
emphasis.
the Welcome to Tasmania song playing in your head right now too?
I don't even know what's that song.
Oh, from that, never mind.
What? No, I need you to sing it to me now.
I can't actually sing it.
You really?
It's just Welcome to Tasmania, Welcome to Tasmania. That show, I can't remember
going.
the words.
Oh, with
that
the Tasmanian
cartoon,
Devil?
The Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah.
That's been,
no, that wasn't.
It's been
playing
in my head while I was talking the whole last 5 minutes.
I demand you sing it to me.
And that was a moment with Steve.
Thank you. So, okay, Phantasmancy. We start off the Primaris power, Veil of Tears. The nice thing about it, basically, a good weight that goes towards a psychic discipline is the Primaris. Because you can, and another thing to remember is that you could choose, a Shadowseer could choose one from Telepathy, one from Phantasmancy. You usually want to stay away from that because you're forfeiting another psychic power you could know. So most psychic disciplines, you look at their Primaris and that gives you the relative strength of that discipline because you always get it. Which is why Telepathy, Telekinesis, Divination, most of those are really good. Whereas like things like Biomancy, the Tyrannid psychic discipline, their basic one is not something that you'll be using nearly as much. This one, however, it's pretty awesome.
Casting.
Veil of Tears is incredibly effective against a shooty army. So how does it work?
So if you cast it on a unit, I think this is any unit?
This is the Shadowseer.
No, it's a Shadowseer's unit. Okay.
That's important.
That is
it's
important.
only himself.
So if you want to shoot at him or his unit, you roll 2d6 times 2. That's how many inches you can basically effectively fire.
Here's a question. What about if he's in a transport? Because you're not firing at him or his unit.
Well, isn't the transport part of his unit?
Keep talking about it. I'll look it up.
Okay, I think it's crucial that it actually works on the transport, or it's not as effective. Basically, you're guaranteeing anything beyond 24 inches from this unit cannot shoot at it.
And most likely anything beyond 14 to 16 inches.
And exactly, most on average dice, 14 inches are going to be what's going to be able to shoot at it. If you're at 14 inches, you probably haven't done your movement phase perfect yet. You have to kind of be a little bit farther away. And next turn you move forward and do your long bomb charge because you have your fleet and your charge and everything like that. You just those lasguns in the corner, that predator in the corner, that unit of devastators in the corner, not going to hit you, not going to knock out your transport because they're not going to be within the maximum range of 24 inches. I love this ability. It is the same ability they had in the Craftworld Elder Codex, where I don't know if it was ability or psychic power, but the Shadowseer you upgrade in that unit had this. This is what he had.
I don't think that it'll affect the transport.
Really?
Yeah.
If it doesn't affect the transport, it changes a lot for my head.
Yeah, because I'm looking under the transport section, and it talks about how it can transport a unit, but it doesn't it's not something that comes out. I would almost be sure that the transport would not be affected by it, because for all their intents and purposes, they count as their own unit. For kill points, for targeting purposes, for charging purposes, they count as their own unit. So that power all of a sudden becomes a little less. It does allow you to run a squad of Harlequins. So that's where you can all of a sudden
12
all of a sudden you're 12 with a Shadowseer and a Death Jester in it, moving up the table.
Or 2 Death Jesters.
Or 3 Death Jesters.
Yeah, why not?
Because the more you can fit in there, the more people can't shoot at. But the thing is, its effective range is really like 15 to 20. Basically, if you're within 14 or 15 inches of the Harlequins, then you're probably going to be able to shoot them. But there's a chance that you could be like 6 inches away and fail that roll. But you're safe if you're probably within.
It'll force your... Okay, if you did have a squad of 10 guys or 12 guys with a couple upgrades and you cast it, it's going to force your opponent to either come really close to you to shoot you, which means you're going to charge them, or they kind of stay away from you. And you kind of use that for board control, I guess.
Well, there's also
Which
the
is
fact that if they shoot the transport and it dies, the unit emergency disembarks. Hopefully it doesn't get pinned, which it probably shouldn't. It'll be leadership 10 with the Shadow Seer in
He
it.
can protect
And
himself.
then they're still
Yeah,
protected.
it's still. I mean, it's still. You're gonna have. It's a Primaris. You're gonna have it.
Yeah, but
So-
it won't. But I
That's too
am
bad, but
99% sure that it will not affect the vehicle that it is inside of, unless there's something I'm missing. And if there is something I'm missing,
Let
feel
us know.
free to have a big discussion about it in the comment section below, so everybody else can see that as well. Because
Kind of makes sense the more I think about it, though. It's too bad.
yeah, it does make it a lot less effective because a transport of the guys inside with Veil of Tears on it would be fantastic. Really, that's what it
Super.
comes down to. Now we do have a lot of other
A lot more good ones.
a
though.
lot of other options as well that can still help. For example, Dance of Shadows, which is a blessing that targets a single friendly unit within 18 inches and gives them stealth and shrouded.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about that is because they're open top transports, you could have the Shadow Seer inside, giving that to other
Yeah.
guys. Particularly, could give it to the transport. Give the
Yeah.
transport stealth and shrouded,
Exactly.
which all of a sudden gives it a 4+ cover.
Or-
now, if it jinx, a 2+ cover.
Which is awesome.
Or if it gets behind cover, pretty much it'll get always give it a-
Or another unit in distance head got knocked out of their transport. Give them cover. They're just all. You're going to be casting this spell.
Yeah, stealth and
this
shrouded.
psychic power.
Like, there's a lot of ways to ignore cover in 40K, but not enough. Like a lot of the good shooting is not ignoring cover, unless you're Tau, of course. But most things that ignore cover are like flamers, which means they're right up against you anyways, and so that makes sense. And so being able to throw stealth and shrouded onto a unit, giving them an out in the open 4+ cover, but if they have any cover whatsoever, unless it's razor wire, they're going to have a 2+ cover save, which basically makes them almost invincible.
You got to use your cover with Harlequins.
Yeah.
You're going to have to.
Yeah, if you're not using cover, then you're probably dead. So this one's even better than the telepathy one, which only gives them shrouded. So, but the nice thing with the telepathy one is if you want to take telepathy, you still have a chance to roll that one, which
Yeah,
could do
well,
something.
exactly.
Peel of Discord.
Man, okay. A 9-inch Nova. Warp Charge 1, Assault 2d6 concussive. It's just a standard Nova, not the greatest one. But hold on. You got this on a guy that can get inside of a open-topped fast skimmer. You can move, if you needed to, 18. Get in the middle of a bunch of Hormigons, whatever.
You can still only move 12 with the fast skimmer.
You can fly up with 6.
Yeah, but not before the psychic phase.
No. Combat speed, oh, you're right, it is only 12.
Yeah, you're still only moving
Either way,
12.
still moving 12.
You're still moving 12.
It's still fast skimmer. You do your Nova. You're not hoping to roll this thing, but if you do, you might. It has its use.
The one thing that the Harlequins don't really have is anti-horde. And this does give it
That's
one
very true.
tool for that. So if you roll it, you're like, well, at least if I'm in a situation where with 9 inches can get within 3 or 4 units of a lot of guys, sure, let's go for it. And it's
Exactly.
concussive. Concussive.
I don't know
is-
if it's ever gonna help.
because most things that you want to concuss are going
Not
to be
gonna
high
hurt
toughness.
by strength 4.
Yeah,
Usually.
but it is 2d6 shots, so it's like, hey, I got close to your monster's creature, or your paladins. Well, I still only affect 1, but still. And I'm going to do 2d6 auto hits, even if you're in close combat, and I'll wound you on 6s if you're a monster's creature, most likely, and hope you fail your 3+ or 2+ save. And if you do, then your initiative 1. Concussive is a rule that you rarely see have any effect because it's only on a model. If it was on a unit, oh boy. Can you imagine if concussive was on a unit? But it's not. It's if a model takes
Now,
an
was
unsafe
there
wound.
a really? Can you cast Novas while in combat?
No. You can cast Novas into combat,
Right.
but if you're in combat, you can't use Witchfires.
Okay,
and
so
Nova is a type of
I mean,
Witchfire.
getting close to a squad that's already in combat and Novaing, and then
It's nice
then
to have.
charging yourself afterwards.
It's not. I think it's probably the worst one out of the list,
and it's not useless.
but it's not useless.
Yeah,
Then you have Shards of Light, which I think this one is a lot more
I
useful. It's
love this one.
It's a Witchfire. It's only 3 shot, or strength 3. It's assault 3d6, which,
24
whatever.
range.
That's not even the big deal. It's the fact that it's blind.
Blinding in the psychic phase.
Yes, blind in the psychic phase is awesome.
Yeah.
Because a blind only needs to hit. And that's why assault 3d6 seems like a little bit overkill.
Sure.
It's only strength 3.
Well, that can help some horde.
You might, it's another anti-horde, but more importantly, even if it's something that's very elite, you only have to hit And then if they fail their initiative test, then they are dropped to weapon skill ballistic skill
This is
1.
what I was referring to earlier. If I blind a unit of Thunderhammer, Storm Shield, Terminators first, I might charge them, run away, hit and run out of there afterwards. But
Well, blind lasts until the end of their next turn.
yeah, I mean,
So you could stay there.
That's
they'll be
how
hitting
you
on
charge
fives.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be hitting you on 5s, and that's the big thing. And then, of course, if they do somehow survive and they can shoot, then they're hitting on 6s. So blind can be quite effective. It seems, it's not. I don't think it's as useless as the Peel of Discord, the Nova one, but it still seems like Strength 3, Assault 3d6, AP nothing. I wish it had a bit more hitting power. It's a lot of shots, but you know, if you're firing at Termagants or Imperial Guard, the blind becomes a little less important, a little less, because their ballistic skill is only like usually 3. And their weapons usually aren't as strong as, say, things with higher
Anything that can
initiative.
give you any slight modifier with the army that's so glass hammery, I'll take.
And it's only warp charge 1, so that's kind of nice because it's
So-
like, hey, I got this extra die left over. What am I going to do with it? Oh, what the heck? I'll try
Just
to
one
blind them.
die, 4+, 3d6 on that unit.
Yeah, and as long as one of them hits, which with 3d6 shots at ballistic skill 4, you're going to have a hit.
You stack all these buffs.
Heck,
and
you could be
you're
snap
awesome.
firing and you'd be okay. Because you have to consider that you're fast skimmer, even if it's moving too fast. Like if it moves 12 inches, the guys inside are snap firing. So
you would have to roll the, yeah.
So there are things to remember that even though it's a fast skimmer, you are going to be affecting your.
Well, I mean, it has 24 inch range. You're not necessarily having to move that full 12.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we have Fog of Dreams. Now this is where we enter into the Warp Charge 2
Yep.
area, which are the powers you basically can only do one of per psychic phase, unless you get lucky.
This is another one I really love.
So what does it do?
All right, so Warp Charge Shuli said, range 24. While this power is in effect, the target unit can only fire snapshots, and when rolling to hit in close combat, it will only hit on rolls of 6. So, like you said, reverse invisibility.
On top of that, here's a little interesting thing. Overwatch. It says the target can only fire snapshots. Overwatch allows you to fire flamers using the Wall of Fire special rule. So I'm curious what the everybody's opinion on is whether they will be able to fire their flamers in Overwatch.
I would think yes, but the way I think this thing is most likely to be used is whatever you're going to charge, you're probably going to toss this somewhere else to protect something else. Not everything is about protecting your particular unit in Harlequin. That's got a long range, you can go protect that guy over there.
Yeah, because it means even in combat they're hitting on 6s,
Yeah.
which basically makes the combat nothing. But still, I still think that's a question that needs to be answered, and I don't want to have a huge debate on it here. But it says that target unit can only fire snapshots, and templates and blasts cannot be fired as snapshots. Now, template weapons.
Okay, I see how you're taking it.
Yeah, so all of a sudden when somebody overwatches against you, normally a flamer wouldn't be able to fire, except a template weapon has a special rule called Wall of Death that when firing Overwatch, it can do
Because
D3.
he's not snap firing, he's using the wall death special rule, but this says he can only use a snap fire.
Yeah, they can. While the
Only
powers in
fire.
effect, the target unit can only fire snapshots, and so this is a little confusing. And I hope that one day,
So
in the six
releases an
to
FAQ.
10 years from now, they'll release an FAQ that would clarify it. So this will have to be something will probably have to be house ruled because I can see how people can argue it both ways.
Yeah.
And if you're one of those people who are about to write a comment and say no, it's obviously this
Obviously
way, then you're one of those people who just argues one side and can never see the other side. So I can see it going
I
either
see
way.
both arguments.
I can see either way because of that wording. If it can stop flamers, that's another way.
If it can stop flamers, that is awesome.
Because it's already stopping flamers in their shooting phase because they won't be able to fire them with snapfire.
Very true. If it stops flamers from Overwatch, that's awesome. But there are other ways to stop the Overwatch with the pinning. So you want
The more tools you have
remember
to
this-
stop Overwatch.
This guy has the hallucinogen. I'm not very smart. The hallucinogen grenade launcher. He's gonna cause the pinning on the unit he wants to charge, and he can go cast this on a different unit for somebody else to take care of because you only have so many units on the board. Your Shadow Seers have to get as much work done as they possibly can.
You need basically if you're playing all Harlequins, if your opponent is not all pinned running away in the wrong direction or in Fog of Dreamed, then you're probably in trouble.
I
You
think,
basically need to say to your opponent, you know all those special rules you have? Well, screw you!
Done.
You're all Ballistic Skill 1.
Yeah.
And you're pinned.
Like-
and you're running towards me. And you're running off the board sideways. and I'm driving at you backwards.
with I love that. But with Shadow Seers working together, I think as an elite army, no one can stand up toe to toe. Like a Deathwing army, a Terminator army, favor goes to Harlequin.
Yes.
Um,
There's less units that you have to
Yeah.
pin / Fog of Dream / invisibility.
I'm trying to think of other, like maybe even a Blood Angels elite army. I think it's going to Harlequin. Other elite armies are going to lose to this. You have tons of bodies or your Necrons, you're going to be fine.
Oh yeah, or your Necrons. Yeah, because Necrons, they just win. So Laugh of Sorrows, another warp charge 2. It's a Witchfire, range 24. This one's hilarious.
I actually like this one a lot.
Well, of course
Just
you
the,
do,
just the
because
concept of this one
this is just so funny.
it's the Laugh of Sorrows.
Yeah, because basically it's a Psychic Shriek or these other powers like Psychic Scream for the Tyranids. The better the person's leadership, the more likely they are to stop it. The way this one works is the target unit has to take a leadership test, no modifiers, unless
Yep.
you have modifiers. And if whatever they fail it by, they take a wound, no armor or cover saves allowed. Right?
2d6.
Right, totally normal. And then they have to do it again. And whatever they fail it by, they have to take that many wounds. So if you have a leadership 10, then sure, you're going to make it fine. And then
the next one, you're
then the next one, you're going to make it again. Or,
probably
sorry, not whatever you fail it by, whatever you make it by for the second one. So the first one is whatever you fail it by, and the second one is whatever you make it by. So you're leadership 10, and you roll your double 1, you're like, crap, I just took 8 wounds. So, and if you're leadership 6, yeah, you're probably going to fail that first one, but then you're probably going to fail the second one and take no wounds.
I think for this one, you want to be leadership 7
I-
and
yeah,
lower
so
your
that's true.
averages.
Actually, yeah, because with the bell curve of rolling 2d6, you're most likely to roll close to it. So the closer you are to leadership 7.
You have high leadership or low leadership, you're taking wounds from this thing.
Yeah.
7,
Well,
that's where
funny.
you want to be.
That's actually hilarious that
You-
this will be least effective against something that's leadership 7.
Yeah.
So you actually don't want your Mask of Death against Space Marines because it'll
Right,
bring their
'cause
leadership from
actually
8 to 7
That's why you put the mask on the guy who's taking
on
telepathy.
telepathy and then keep them away from
Keep
this
them
one.
away. Keep the Death Jester away. Like, you don't
Wow,
want to do...
that's so funny. I never thought of the odds. You just said you just made fun of yourself for not being able to pronounce hallucinogen, and then you thought of a bell curve
My
statistical thing for leadership. So I think you're
Smart guy, guys.
nice. Now you're smart.
I'm wearing glasses soon.
So yeah, there is that to consider. That leadership 7 is going to be where you're least effective.
Yeah.
I never thought of that. I just thought, yeah, it's going to be statistically, it's going to be the same. But no, it's
You
not.
don't want to put any modifiers on that unit.
You want to use this against a leadership 10 guy or a leadership 2 guy
And do...
or leadership 4. I guess 4 is equivalent to 10 on the other end of the spectrum. So
Nines,
all those leadership 10
tens,
guys,
yeah.
this is going to be incredibly effective against. That is kind of hilarious.
Is there anybody with leadership 7? Oh, Imperial Guard.
Oh, leadership 7 is everywhere. So, yeah. There's lots of leadership 7.
Again, if you're elite, you have high leadership, and you're going to get hurt.
This is going to hurt you. It is Warp Charge 2. It is a Witchfire. So there's an argument whether you have to roll to hit or not. But
Whatever.
you most likely are hitting because you're Ballistic Skill 4. But anyways. So that's a funny one. No pun intended.
Ah.
Called Laugh of Sorrows in this book. And the last one of Mirror of Minds.
I didn't like it at first, but after we talked about it a bit, I'm starting to like it.
It can be effective. It's a focused Witchfire. Warp Charge 2. So remember, the way focused Witchfire works is it can only ever target one model. And if you just make it your Warp Charge 2, then it just targets the nearest guy. If you make one extra Warp Charge than what it requires, in this case it'll be 3, then you get to choose who it is. They can still look out Sir, though, I believe, but we won't have that discussion here. So focus Witchfire. The target model and the Shadow Sphere both roll d6 and add their respective leaderships. And this is where it would be useful for the Shadow Seer to be lower in their leadership. If the scores are drawn, or if the Shadow Seer score is higher, the target suffers a single wound with no armor or cover saves, and then you do it again. And you keep doing it until the Shadow Seer loses. And so Shadow Seer is leadership 10.
Yeah.
And if you can get their leadership down, now getting their leadership down is going to hurt your Laugh of Sorrows because it'll probably get it down to closer to 7. But I think it's okay because it's going to help with your pinning and everything else.
Yeah.
And the Death Jester's probably happy if their leadership is down. So if you can get their leadership down, and especially if you're up against like a leadership, well, things that are going to be multi-wounded are usually going to have higher leadership unless you're going up against Tyranids. This thing will love Tyranids because most of those
Yeah,
Carnifexes
you're killing monstrous creatures. with this
are
thing.
leadership 7 or leadership 8 or leadership 9. So you're going in there going, okay, roll. All right, take a wound. Okay, roll. Oh, you take another one. Okay, roll. You take another one. We'll just keep going until you're dead. So leadership 10 stuff is going to be like a 50-50 chance that you really do a wound, and then it'll keep going.
Well, I think there's 2 major uses are one monstrous creature killing, like this guy, even though he's 10. But I mean,
Well, Riptides are only 9.
okay,
Dread Knights, I think, are 9 too. They might be 10. though.
I think it's going to be, if there's no monstrous creatures around, like Tyranid ones, I'm going to cast this thing last, try to get all my buffs out, and see how many dice I have left, and then use it to try to roll 3 warp charges and try to pick out that flamer.
3 warp charges, kill your flamer.
Really, that's the scariest thing to the Harlequins is flamers.
Yeah.
Overwatch.
You can't avoid them when you charge
Yeah,
them.
no. Toughness 3, 5+ invulnerable, you're going to die to them.
Yeah.
And every one Harlequin dies from Overwatch is a huge shift in the combat resolution is what it's going to be.
So, final question here. You bring 1 Shadow Seer.
Yeah.
Let's assume they're all going to be level 2 Psychers or whatever. Which discipline would you take?
If I'm bringing just 1,
Yes.
Phantasmi.
If you bring 2,
Possibly 2 Phantasmi, but maybe 1 Phantasmi and 1 Telepathy.
what if you have 3?
2 Phantasmi, 1 Telepathy.
That's the easy one for you?
Yeah.
Like you want a telepathy and then the rest is Phantasmi?
Yeah.
You don't want like a ton of Psychic Shrieks running around? Because you can only have 1 guy with the mask,
But
right?
see, the thing is again, not an expert theory here. I got plenty of ways of killing things at AP2 in the list. What I don't have and what I need is protection that Phantasmi can give me.
Phantasmi definitely
But
is
so does
defensive.
Telepathy.
It doesn't have as much though.
But it has 2 really good ones.
Yes, it does.
So
But Phantasmi has like 3 or 4
and
good
Phantasmi
ones.
has 3 or 4. So if I'm having 3 guys, 2 Phantasmi, 1 Telepathy, 1 guy Phantasmi, 2 guys, it's a wash. At least 1 Phantasmi for sure. Maybe 1 of each, or probably 2 Phantasmi.
So there you have it, folks. From the expert Eldar player with the orange Eldar.
This guy.
This guy. And he's got 2 thumbs. So in our next video, which is at the link below, will be our final video for this. We're just doing a shorter one for this one because it's a smaller codex than the Necrons, of course. And that one is going to cover all of the formations as well as detachment and the different ways that you can bring Harlequins in your list. So we're going to cover that. So it's at the link below, which is, of course, in the Mini Wargaming Vault. So if you'd like to click that and get a free 7-day trial if you're not a Vault member, that would be great. It would help support us. And then you get instant access to the other 2,000+ videos that are already in there. So go ahead and click the link below. Thanks for watching. Happy wargaming.